Hey guys, welcome to today's video. I am answering a question that I got inside of my PHOTOGS Facebook group, which by the way you can join for free right now via the link description below. The question was, what do I do during my off season? How am I marketing my business and growing my business? How am I attracting ideal clients during my off season? And that's the question I'm going to answer for you guys today. I thought this was a perfect topic for today's video, so I'm going to be covering some of the things I do personally and that I recommend you also do as well during your off season. Despite how it sounds, my off season is actually one of my busiest times of year. While I don't have as many weddings or gigs on my calendar, I am spending a lot more time educating myself and planning out what the rest of the year is going to look like, taking care of things on the business end. When I think of the busy season versus my off season, I kind of picture a swimmer. I'm in my lane, my head is down, I'm working really hard and hustling during the on season. The off season is my time to come to the surface, to take a breather, to kind of look around and take stock and figure out what's been working, what hasn't been working, and what needs a little bit more attention in my business. The number one thing I'm doing during my off season that I highly recommend you also be doing in your off season is marketing. You should always be marketing yourself, but the off season is particularly a good time because you just have more of it. A few ways that I go ahead and market myself are blogging shoots that I may not have had time to blog earlier in the year when I was having back-to-back weddings. So I go back in my archives and I make sure that I take some time to blog these images, taking special care to tag vendors and let them know so that there's a potential resharing going on. The next thing I do is submit my work so that I can be featured. So this all falls under the marketing category. The next step that I take in the marketing of my business is to map out the next 6 months following my off season. Now, regardless of when your off season is on a calendar, maybe it's in the winter, maybe it's in the summer, depending on what time zone or climate you live in, it could be the opposite of mine. But odds are you will have a time that is kind of more of a lull in your booking, and that is your off season. This is the perfect time to dive in and look at the potential promotions that you might have coming up in the next few months. You can go ahead and take a look at your calendar and see if you're happy with the number of bookings that you have, or if you need some areas that need a little extra attention. So you have a marketing plan, you've gotten your blog updated. The next thing I like to do is update my website. This is something that does not get done very often just because of how time consuming it is. After I've gone through and blogged some of those weddings and tagged some of those vendors, I now have new images that I'd like to showcase in my portfolio. Take those images and update your website. The next thing you'll want to do in your off season is take some time to network. Now, this doesn't have to be a big scary thing where you go into a conference center with your business cards and it's a little bit anxious kind of situation. It doesn't have to be like that. What I like to do is find some really cool people on Instagram, send them a message, and see if they'd like to grab coffee. I like to network with other people in the wedding industry, but that are not in my same field. Under that same umbrella of networking, this is also a great time to do some venue walkthroughs. If there's a venue that you've been wanting to work at, this is a great time to contact them, go meet them, have a face-to-face, and walk through the space. So you've updated your website, you've updated your blog, you have all this new work. It's time to send some of that work to your favorite vendors. So go ahead and create some smaller galleries and gift that to your favorite vendors. Potentially they will share those images, and it's also keeping you top of mind for if they ever need a photographer. The next thing I want you to do during your next off season is review your workflows. How is that onboarding process for brides and grooms? How is it when somebody inquires with you? Are you writing the same emails a lot, or do you have that system down? Now, if you haven't thought about your workflows in a while, check out this series. I did, I think, 5 or so videos. I also include a free PDF and lots of bonus material, and it's all available here on YouTube. So if you check out that series, I think it's really gonna help you to tighten up those systems, make sure that you're not wasting time here and there throughout the year that really add up to really getting into your productivity. I want to encourage you during your off season to be sure to take some time to get re-inspired, travel, read a book, do something that gets you back to you, and maybe dive into some personal work. Even if you're playing around with film or kind of diving into Photoshop or doing something completely different than your normal wedding workflow, I think it can just refresh you as an artist. The final tip that I have for you guys is to educate yourself. Educating yourself and taking an online class or reading a book, you're really staying sharp. You're honing your skills, you're continuing to learn, and you're making sure that you don't get fuzzy in some areas that maybe could use some work. So one thing that I do that I think might be interesting for you guys to try is I create a to-do list and I keep it somewhere like inside of my planner or somewhere that I won't lose it, where I have what's called my off-season to-do list. And essentially I create a list of things that I would like to get done when I have more time. So what's cool is when the off-season rolls around and it's February, I can look at a list that I made in maybe June when I was really busy with weddings and I wanted to work on certain projects but I couldn't. Now at that time in my off-season, I can look at the list and I can decide whether or not I should do it or whether I should nix it, but it's just nice to have that list and know that I'm keeping it and gathering it throughout the year. Those are my tips for growing your business during the off-season. I would love to hear what you all do. If you have some similar tips or something completely different, share it in the comments down below. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye guys.